Water. That's it. That's the whole thing. Okay, no, but hear me out. When was the last time you actually thought about the water you drink? Like, really thought about it? Because most of us just turn on a tap, fill a glass, and move on with our lives. And that makes total sense. But somewhere out there, someone paid $60,000 for a bottle of water. One bottle. $60,000. I'm sorry, what? Hi, I'm back on Meal Mind. I'm a chef based in LA. I've spent the last decade cooking in some pretty wild kitchens, and trust me, in this world, if you think the food gets expensive, the water will absolutely send you into another dimension. So today we're diving deep, no pun intended, into the world's most expensive waters. What they are, why they exist, who's actually buying them, and whether any of them are even remotely worth it. Because spoiler, some of them kind of are, and some of them are genuinely unhinged. Let's go. Quick story. Back when I was staging, that's chef speak for working for free to learn. At this restaurant in San Francisco, I'm maybe 23, flour on my shirt, exhausted, and the sommelier walks in with this gorgeous bottle. And I'm thinking, okay, wine night, we're going to have a good time. But no, it was water, a $90 bottle of water. And the table ordered 2 of them. I just stood there with a spatula in my hand, genuinely staring. That was my first real introduction to the luxury water world. And I've been equal parts confused and fascinated ever since. Here's the thing though, water isn't just water. I know that sounds like something you'd see on a bumper sticker in Malibu, but stay with me. Water picks up minerals as it moves through rock and earth. And those minerals, they genuinely affect flavor, texture, and even how food behaves when you cook with it. In my kitchen, I always tell my cooks, the water you use matters. The pH matters. The mineral content matters. That's not just chef drama, it's actual food science. So where does expensive water come from? A lot of it comes from incredibly remote, incredibly pure sources. Glaciers, deep ocean trenches, ancient underground springs that haven't seen human contact in thousands of years. And here's an interesting thing. Some of these sources are so protected and so hard to reach, the water is bottled in extremely limited quantities. Which, as any chef knows, scarcity is basically its own seasoning. Let's talk about some actual waters, because this is where it gets really wild. There's a water from Hawaii called Kona Nigari. And look, the name alone is doing a lot of work. It's desalinated deep sea water pulled from over 3,000 feet below the Pacific Ocean's surface. Not 3,000 feet offshore, straight down, below where most research equipment even bothers going. The mineral concentration at that depth is completely different from anything on the surface. A 750 milliliter bottle runs you around $400. Is that a lot? Yes. Does it taste like regular water? People who've had it, and I have not, full transparency, say it has this faint sweetness and a clean, almost silky finish. Would I buy it? Probably not on a Tuesday, but I'm genuinely curious. But $400? That's practically a bargain compared to what's coming. Acqua di Cristallo Tributo, a Modigliani. Say that 5 times fast. It's a blend from 3 different sources, France, Fiji, and a glacial source in Iceland. Bottled in a handcrafted 24-karat gold bottle designed by an actual jeweler. The price? $60,000 per 750 milliliters. I genuinely had to sit down when I first read that. Now to be fair, most of what you're paying for is the bottle. It's art, essentially. The water inside is from legitimately premium sources, but the vessel? That's a collectible. That's something you put on a shelf, not something you pour over ice. Which raises a question I find really interesting. At what point does water stop being water and become something else entirely? An experience? A status symbol? A flex so large it needs its own security detail? I had a customer at a pop-up dinner I did a few years back. Super enthusiastic, lovely person, who came in talking about this boutique water they'd had in Tokyo called Fillico. It comes in an ornate bottle with little gold crown decorations, sourced from a spring in Osaka, costs around $200 a bottle, and they described it the way you'd describe a really good wine. Notes of clean mineral, light effervescence, a finish that lingers, and I just nodded along thinking, okay, this is the world now. Water has tasting notes. Here's a thing that actually surprised me though. When I was building a tasting menu a couple years ago, yes, I did a water pairing, I have zero regrets. I went deep into the research, and I learned that water hardness genuinely changes the way food tastes. Hard water with higher mineral content can make tea more bitter and can mess with the way bread dough develops gluten structure. Soft water is often preferred for brewing coffee because it lets the coffee's own flavors come through without competing. This is real science, and it genuinely changed how I approach certain recipes. Brands like VOSS from Norway or Evian from the French Alps are considered premium, but in this context, they're basically the entry level, $5 to $15 a bottle. By the standards we're talking about today, that's practically free. Then there's 10,000 BC glacier water from the Canadian Rockies, bottled at the source with zero treatment, around $14. And honestly, I've actually cooked with this one. Used it for a delicate consommé, and the clarity was beautiful. That's one I genuinely believe in. But here's the one that made me laugh out loud. Bling H2O. That's the real name, by the way. Created by a Hollywood writer who wanted a water brand that matched the aesthetics of luxury events. It comes in a frosted glass bottle covered in Swarovski crystals. The crystals on the water bottle. Prices range from $40 to well over $1,000 for special editions. I showed it to my sous chef, and she just stared at me and went back to breaking down fish. She's very grounded. And here's the twist that I think is actually the most interesting part of all of this. Blind taste test studies on water, and yes, scientists have absolutely done this, show that most people cannot reliably tell the difference between expensive water and regular filtered tap water once the branding is removed. Most people, not all. There's actually a profession called a water sommelier, which is a completely real job, and trained specialists can sometimes identify differences in minerality and texture. But the average person? Probably not. And yet the luxury water market keeps growing. It's valued at billions globally, and it's climbing every year because people are not purely rational. We buy experiences, we buy stories, we buy the feeling of something rare. Honestly, I get it. I've paid $40 for a single heirloom tomato before because the farmer told me the story of the varietal, and I got a little emotional about it. Food and drink are not just fuel, they're connection, they're meaning. And sometimes they're a gold bottle that costs the same as a used car. Would I personally spend $60,000 on a bottle of water? No, absolutely not. I'd put it toward an extraordinary dining experience, a kitchen renovation, or approximately 428 bottles of Kona Nigari if we're feeling chaotic about it. But here's what I do think is worth taking away from all of this. Not every expensive water is a gimmick. Some of them represent extraordinary sourcing, real mineral complexity, and a level of care in getting liquid from source to bottle that most people never even think about. And as someone who genuinely cares about every single ingredient I use, I respect that, even when the price tag makes me want to lie down on the kitchen floor. So the next time you're at a restaurant and the server asks you, still or sparkling, just know, somewhere in the world, someone is agonizing over whether the glacial melt from a Norwegian fjord pairs better with the first course than the deep ocean mineral water from the Pacific. And somehow, that makes the whole food world feel a little more wonderfully ridiculous and incredible at the same time. If this video got you thinking about ingredients differently, hit subscribe. Every week on Meal Mind, we go this deep into the food world, one obsessive detail at a time. And drop a comment below. Would you ever spend real money on luxury water, or is this the most unnecessary thing you've ever heard of? Because I genuinely want to know where you land on this one. See you in the next one.